Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Let's kick off your week on a high note, shall we? Don't look now, the Minnesota Twins are red hot. Wrapping up a series in Boston yesterday, looking to go for the sweep. It was a pretty solid start for them. Cody Clemens in the top of the first with an RBI single to right field. That would score Trevor Larnach, and Minnesota off of the get-go, up by 1. In the bottom of the second, however, Boston would get one back. Masataka Yoshida with his first solo homer of the year, 403 feet to right field, and the Yoshi head to boot. That's funny. Top of the third, we're tied at 1. Trevor Larnach with an RBI single to right field. Brooks Lee will come in to score, and Minnesota is up 2-1. Moving on, still in the top of the third, Victor Caratini grounds into the double play with the bases loaded. All right, congratulations, Boston. You get the double play. But a run comes in to score for Minnesota. It's 3-1. Things are looking good for the Twinkies on a Sunday, a rainy day in Boston, by the way. But the Red Sox, they wanted an answer to that. Bottom of the fourth with the Twins leading 3-1. Wilson Contreras, a 2-run bomb over the monster. 386 feet to left field, and we are tied at 3. Staying in the bottom of the fourth, Boston adding on Marcelo Mayer with an RBI single to right. Yoshida will come in to score. Boston takes their first lead of the ball game, 4-3. Uh-oh. Sweep may not happen, but just hold on. Austin Martin again, RBI double to left field off of the green wall. Orlando Arcia comes in to score, and we're tied at 4 in the 6th inning. In that same frame, Brooks Lee, a 2-run single to left center field. That will give the Twins the lead back. Play at the plate, bobbled. Another run comes in to score. Play at second, Lee's in safely. That's not picture perfect for Boston if you want to get somebody out at home plate. This is how you get somebody out at home plate. In the bottom of the ninth, Twins leading. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, RBI double. He thought he hit a walk-off homer. But after some really great relay action from the Minnesota Twins, that's how you get it done and host somebody at home plate. Minnesota holds on to win 6-5 against the Boston Red Sox. And the Minnesota Twins complete the sweep. They have won 6 out of their last 7 games. 12 hits in the ball game for the Twins, 11 for the Red Sox. Bailey Ober goes 5 innings. Brooks Lee leads the way, 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBI. Minnesota Twins right now, they're third in the division. They're 5 games back out of first place in the Central. That's not bad. Cleveland up there pretty good, well above 500, 32-23. The White Sox are second in the Central. Minnesota will open up a 4-game road stint with them this afternoon. It'll wrap up on Thursday before the Twins make their way over to Pittsburgh. Hey, right now, Minnesota, they're in a wild card spot as well. That's some good news to start your week, isn't it? Game 1 of that series against Chicago today, 1:10. We'll remind you of that again later. Zebby Matthews on the bump for the Twins. Anthony Kay will get the start for Chicago. And with that, we say hello, welcome. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, however you are, on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today on this holiday. It is Memorial Day, a day to honor the men and women that have lost their lives in the line of service for this country. I think it's important to remember that. It's more than just another lake day, although I am jealous of those that are spending this beautiful weather out in Lakes Country or getting out of the golf course or getting some homework done, whatever it may be. Enjoy today, but also remember the meaning of today. No doubt about that. Dom will be back with us tomorrow. We have a busy weekend coming up with state softball and baseball and soccer and tennis, you name it. That's coming up this weekend. We'll get you a full preview of that as the weekend this morning rolls on. We are just getting back here from Bismarck and the North Dakota State Track and Field Championships. What a weekend that was. And I will say tip of the cap to all of the athletes that braved the elements. We had rain, we had wind, we had heat, we had sun, you name it. Whatever it was out there in Bismarck. And there was some unbelievable performances that we will get into in our best of the weekend in just a couple of minutes. Also, tip of the cap to our crew at WDAY. Really impressive. To be able to cover a track and field championship is not an easy feat by any means. We had cameras at every single event. It looked pretty slick. There's no doubt about that. So, again, we'll recap the track and field championships in just a little bit. Despite it being a holiday today, we are packed to the gills. A lot of great guests coming up and a lot to touch on from over the weekend. So let's give you a Western Conference final update from over the weekend. And we'll start in the NHL. And I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong, and that's pretty often. And I was wrong about this one. I thought Colorado was going to cakewalk their way through this series against the Vegas Golden Knights, but oh no. They almost had a cakewalk in Game 3 against Vegas. This goal by Jack Jury on the breakaway gave Colorado a 3-goal lead in Game 3. So you're thinking, all right, Colorado, they're down 2-0 in the series, but they can make it 2-1. They're not going to blow a 3-goal lead, are they? Well, wait a minute. Vegas started getting some life. Mitch Marner over to the captain, Mark Stone, making his series debut. The tap-in goal will give Vegas something up on the board, and they're down by 2 at that point here in the second period. 4 minutes later, it's the same score. Marner's shot is saved by Wedgwood, but he can't handle the rebound, and William Karlsson will find the back of the net. It's 3-2. Look out. Here come the Knights. And more bad news for Colorado. Nathan McKinnon blocks a shot off of his knee. He goes down in pain, and he's got to make his way to the locker room. Not what you want to see for the Avs. But less than a minute later, to add insult to injury, Dylan Coughlin. His shot is tipped. It's buried by Keegan Colasar. Who? Great tip in by Colasar. And we're tied 3-3. Can you believe that? McKinnon back on the ice, just unable to find any speed in the third period. He goes back to the bench. He's pretty frustrated, and rightfully so. Midway through the third, Vegas, 4 unanswered goals at this point. Tomas Hertl on the rush, gets a move on, and he will pot one, and they would get the empty netter as well. So the Vegas Golden Knights were once trailing 3-0 in this game. They score 5 unanswered goals, and they lead the series 3-0. Colorado was 74-1 in the playoffs when leading by 3 or more goals. Vegas was 0 for 19, trailing by 3+. Well, those numbers are going to change. So this is where we stand right now in the NHL playoffs. Vegas up 3-0. Montreal and Carolina, that series is tied at 1 with another game coming up later on tonight. On the basketball side of things, in the NBA, Game 4 between the Thunder and the Spurs in the Western Conference Final over there. We'll pick things up in the first quarter. And if you missed it, it was another Wemby show. Guy did everything last night against Oklahoma City, including block Chet Holmgren. It's one of the best big men in the league against the other best big man in the league. And Wembanyama showed last night that he is a step above everybody else. Once again, hammers the lob there. Stephon Castle drilling the three to put the Spurs up by 8. Next possession, Devin Vassell. He nails the three, and then Vassell, with the Spurs up 19-8, gets the block. And this is funny to me. One of the slowest working lobs you'll see, and it's just, like, that's too easy. It's just a cakewalk for Wembanyama anytime he's on the floor. Barely had to jump, and he lays it down. So 41-34 at this point in the second quarter. Chet Holmgren says, I can tip in a basketball as well. And then Wembanyama with one of the slowest Euro steps you'll see, but it works out as he passes it to himself off the glass and lays it in. Unbelievable. And then this was ridiculous. This is just not fair. From half court, Wemby drills it going into the half, 50-38 at the break. Wemby had 22 points at half, and that was like too easy. Barely had to put any effort into that half-court shot. 22 first-half points for Victor Wembanyama, and he would start the second half, and the Spurs would just continue to roll. This wasn't the most exciting game in the world if you were hoping for something close. Wembanyama again, the throwdown. I mean, how soon and what more? How many years of this until we start the conversation that this guy's one of the best to ever do it? Stephon Castle is really good, too. Spurs are a dangerous team. Vassell in the corner, no. The rebound, put back good, 72-47. Oklahoma City just distraught. Nothing going for them. They would end up getting the win, continuing to pile it on, 103-82. Victor Wembanyama finishes with a game-high 33 points. He would also have 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and only 3 blocks, surprisingly. Here's where we stand in the NBA playoffs. San Antonio and Oklahoma City tied at 2. Their next game coming up tomorrow at 7:30 on NBC. Tonight, it's New York and Cleveland. The Knicks can go for the sweep on ESPN at 7 o'clock. We'll see if they do that. I'll stick to my guns on what I said last Wednesday. Whoever's winning that series between New York and Cleveland, I don't think has a shot against whether it is San Antonio or Oklahoma City. But I was wrong about Vegas, and I could be absolutely dead wrong about this one. Only time will tell. With that being said, as I mentioned, we are packed today. A lot to get to. 4 fantastic guests joining us here on this Monday morning. We will kick things off at 9:30 with a newly minted Coach of the Year from Hillsboro Central Valley. Spencer Ruebke will join us after the Burros had a dominating day on the girls' Class B side of the state track and field championships. Looking forward to talking with Spencer at 9:30. At 9:45, it's becoming a yearly tradition. Scott Kost from Central Cass will join us, talk about his softball team back in the state tournament once again. They're the number 1 seed heading into this weekend. And then in hour number 2, Jen Smart, the head coach of Horace softball, will join us. The Hawks won their first East Region Championship over the weekend. They will make their first state tournaments appearance this weekend as well. Then at 10:30, we will help wrap up the show this morning with Nathan Sillerud, the head coach from Fargo South over on the baseball team. They're a dangerous squad heading into the Class A boys baseball tournament. We'll get a lowdown on his team and some stellar players on the south side of Fargo. So that's coming up on this Monday morning. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we will recap a full weekend of track and field in our best of the weekend. That's coming up next on Hot Mic. This is one of those days where there is just so much to choose from when looking at the best of the weekend segment. We're going to leave some stuff off because there was just so many good things that happened over the weekend. I want to take a couple of minutes here and focus and recap what we saw at the North Dakota State Track and Field Championships in Bismarck over the last couple of days, because it was surreal to see these athletes performing at their highest. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, battling through the elements, most of them. The crowds were fantastic. And here's what we saw at the Community Bowl in Bismarck. We'll start with Northern Cass's Owen Johnson. He tripled. He won the 3,200. He won the 1,600. He won the 800. That's going to be a common theme you'll hear. He ran the 32 in 9:22.94. If you ask me, that's pretty good. He ran the 16 in a state record of 4:15.15. He graduated yesterday, and he told Dom that he's playing golf today. So congratulations to the Northern Cass's Owen Johnson. Also on the track, the 7th grader from Wapaton, Summer Nagel, was so impressive to watch. She was the champion in the 300-meter hurdles. She also won the 100-meter hurdles. She ran the 300 in a time of 43.65. She ran the 100 in 15.24. That's coming off of a week where she won 4 EDC championships as a 7th grader. In the throwing field, Elizabeth Pinckey from Hatton Northwood set the Class B girls discus record with a toss of 153.11. That's a state record, and that's also a new 35th best mark in the entire country. Nelson County's Dagan Slade also did a great job throwing this last weekend as well. Over at the pole vault, the best to ever do it in the state of North Dakota, Blake Homiston broke the Class A boys pole vault record with a mark of 15.9. He also holds the North Dakota all-time state record of 16.1. He tried to go for 16.2 and just barely missed it. Congratulations to the senior from Dickinson, Blake Homiston. Back onto the track, the sophomore from Davies, Luca Rout, was a riot to watch all weekend long. He tripled as well in all of the distance events. This is the 800 at a time of 154.03. He is a rising star in the state of North Dakota. Luca Rout. Remember that name. We're going to see him for years to come. He just had a kick like nobody's business. He was blowing the competition aside. Over to the sprinting events in Class A, the fastest high schooler ever in the state of North Dakota, Bismarck Legacy's Zayden Horn. He wins the 100, the 200, and the 400. Also was dominant in the relays as well. He ran the 100 in 10:73. He holds the North Dakota all-time record at 10:27. He will run at North Dakota State University next season. He was injured last year, couldn't win as many titles as he would have hoped for last season, but he got the job done this year. The Class B girls sprinting events were unbelievable. This is the 100-meter dash, and Rolette Wolford's Ella Peterson. She came to play over the weekend, beating out the defending champion for the last couple of years, Anya Olson from Velva Drake Animos, with a really, really impressive time. Anytime Ella Peterson was on the track, she was just bursting and getting a step on everybody else, and she had a really great start in the 100-meter dash to take home her first title in that event. And then arguably in the race of the weekend, in my opinion, Class B girls 200-meter dash. Ella Peterson, again from Rolette Wolford, out to a big lead at the turn. Anya Olson is the two-time defending champ in this event. She's injured. She was injured this last week. She somehow makes ground in the last 50 meters to try to defend her title and just barely gets ahead of Peterson with a lean at the line. And Anya Olson, one of the best Class B girls sprinters in the history of North Dakota, just edges out Peterson by 0.05 of a second to win the title. She would also win the 400 title as well. And if you missed our coverage and you missed her story, or if you didn't hear it throughout the weekend, Anya Olson from Velva Drake Animus, who is a senior and is also going to North Dakota State, what she was able to do was so cool to hear. Back earlier this month at the Howard Wood Dakota Relays, she tripped, or fell, I should say, and broke her collarbone. She said to our guy Riley Swenson, who was down on the field after winning the 200-meter, that just being at the state track and field championships was a win for her. She had been forced to stay in bed for the last couple of weeks did not have an opportunity to train. Showed up at the track and field championships and ran well. Our guy Daryl Anderson mentioned it. You could see she couldn't get full extension on her left arm, but it took everything in the 200-meter dash to climb back against Ella Peterson and come away with the win. Super cool story. And if you noticed a trend there, a lot of these superstars in North Dakota high school state track and field, they're going to North Dakota State next season. A lot of the seniors. Great job recruiting for our guy Stevie Keller and North Dakota State and that coaching staff, because they are going to be fun to watch in a Bison uniform coming up. There's no doubt about that. There's so many more that we could have put in here, but just for the sake of time, weren't able to do so. Rayshawn Earl from Hankinson won the Class B 100-meter dash in upsetting fashion. He ran the 200 very well. Bismarck Legacy as a team, everybody was good from Bismarck Legacy, especially on the final day. Bennett Lawn, who was also going to North Dakota State, won the hurdle events. Yusuf Jama came in second in the pole vault, came in second in the hurdle events behind Bennett Lawn. He's going to North Dakota State as well. They helped Bismarck Legacy take home the title. Jaron Reinhardt from Hazen, he was phenomenal. He three-peated twice this last week, winning 3 state titles in his high school career in 2 different events. He's going to North Dakota State. Emmy Belquist, the younger sister of Kelsey Belquist. You may remember that name. Kelsey won the 400-meter hurdles in the Big Ten not too long ago. Emmy Belquist came into this North Dakota State Track and Field Championships, and she won some hurdle events in Class B girls. Andrew Matt from Carrington, he's going to play football at North Dakota State. He told Dom the other week, or other month I should say, that he was going to win his throwing events. He won a title, so that was impressive. The Asher brothers from Grand Forks Central, they were great, especially in the javelin. I'm missing so many. Tyler Cree Beglow from Nelson County in the Class B triple jump. Won that with ease. Alexis Heinley in the triple jump for Class A on the girls' side. Won that. Evan Brecker, from West Fargo with the high jump. Anywhere you looked, there was just monstrous performances all across the Community Bowl over this last weekend, and it was so fun to watch. The team scores went as this Class A boys. Legacy dominated that with 125 total points. They scored pretty much all of their points on the final day. Class B boys was exciting. Oak Grove Lutheran took home the title with 67 points. They were tied with the 2-time defending champ Bowman County up until the final event, which was the 4x4. All Oak Grove had to do was place, because Bowman County wasn't running that event, and that relay team finished 6th. You got to be in the top 8 to get some points, and they only needed 1, and they finished 6th to get a couple of points, and they would take home the Class B boys title. Class A girls, Bismarck Century in a tight one with Bismarck High. Century scored 100 points and came down to the 4x4 relay and also the triple jump on the final day that was going on at the same time. Bismarck Century placed 2 girls, I believe, in the triple jump to separate themselves from Bismarck High. And in Class B girls, Hillsboro Central Valley, we're going to learn a lot more about them. I didn't mention Claire Grindy, and I didn't do that for a reason, because we're going to talk a lot about her in the next couple of minutes. Hillsboro Central Valley goes back-to-back after winning last year with 74 points. They dominated all the Class B girls distance events. Claire Grindy, for the second year in a row, sweeps the 32, the 1600, and the 800. She ran the relay as well. We're going to hear from their head coach, Spencer Ruebke, in just a little bit. Well, allow me to be sentimental for just a second. One of the coolest things that I heard over the weekend, my mom and my 4-year-old, now going on 5-year-old nephew, was watching. They were scrolling through all the events on WDAY+, and it turns out my 4-year-old nephew, Boone, has found a new passion, and now he wants to be a track and field star when he grows up. I thought that was awesome when she told me that. They actually had to turn off the discus video because he started grabbing things and started throwing them all around the house. It sounds like he's got this spin down, but he is now enamored with track and field. So thank you to the athletes in North Dakota for giving my young nephew a new passion, which was super cool to hear. Congratulations to all the athletes on their titles and all the teams as well. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about track and field and especially Hillsboro Central Valley. Spencer Ruebke from the Burros will join us next on Hot Mic. Beautiful day on this Monday. Wish we had that every day at the State Track and Field Championships over the weekend in Bismarck. Once again, Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo this morning. Let's go back and chat a little bit more about the Track and Field Championships as we welcome in our first guest of the morning, Spencer Ruebke, the newly minted Class B Girls Track Coach of the Year. First of all, congratulations on that. Congratulations on a very successful weekend as well. Have you been able to catch your breath at all?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think I'm still pretty wiped out from the weekend. I am glad it's over. It was exhausting, but it was packed full of fun. All 3 days were very different from Thursday to Friday to Saturday, but kept us on our toes, and there was always something to look forward to each day. So yeah, I'm exhausted, but it was quite the weekend. A lot of fun.
I'm curious about that because we asked a lot of the athletes, especially on Friday, what it was like to compete in the downpour that we had. Most of them said it didn't really affect the events, but I imagine in between, that had to have been just brutal standing in that all day.
Yeah, we tried to... It was a good problem. Our kids kept wanting to come down and watch their teammates, and we kept kicking them back to the tent. So it's a good problem to have because they wanted to be out supporting the teammates, but then we had to be the ones that just chase them away and go get dry and get a poncho on and that type of thing. And yeah, our kids handled that really well, I thought.
74 team points in total for the Hillsboro Central Valley girls to win the Class B girls title. To now be a two-time defending state champion, what does that mean for you and this team?
Yeah, each day we just said, like, focus on what you can control. There were some other teams that were scoring a lot of points, and some of our kids get a little caught up in like watching that on the athletic.net website or watching those team points and getting a little worked up about it. And we just said, no, stop, just focus on what we can control. We're gonna get our points too. So yeah, that was awesome. And I guess I wouldn't be a coach if I didn't say I think we left a few points on the table. I'm not going to say that too many times. I'm not going to get too picky. We're happy to win it. But yeah, it's like there's always things you can improve on. And we bring back a lot of our kids next year. And so that's really exciting. And honestly, throughout the season, we didn't really talk a whole lot about the fact that we won it last year. It was just kind of like on to the next goal, on to the next year. And same with this weekend. We had a champion on Thursday, and we like got back to the hotel, talked about it briefly, and it's like, now let's talk about Friday. Friday we had, a state record fall. We had some good things happen. We talked about it briefly, and let's talk about Saturday. So we probably won't talk too much about this state championship before the kids are like, all right, when's my next sport start? Right. And what are we going to do next year? And it's kind of fun that way. And our kids are kind of on the same page as the coaches with that.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, Spencer Ruebke joining us, the track coach over at Hillsboro Central Valley. For those that watch the state track and field championships over the last couple of years, it's hard to miss her. There's no doubt about that. We're seeing some video of her now. Claire Grindy, as an 8th grader, is just so fun to watch. She is dominant in the distance events. What can you say about what she has been able to do against high school competition at such a young age?
Yeah, it's a challenge sometimes in practice because you got to try to find ways to challenge her and push her, and even like in the meets as the season goes on, like where can we bring her where she can have someone to run with or someone who can actually beat her. And we ended up bringing her down to the Howard Wood relays, and that was a great experience for her in Sioux Falls because she didn't take first in her events and she was pushed. And I think that really helps with an athlete like that because it is challenging at times. And we'll give her, we'll have a workout, we'll give her goal times, and she looks at us like we're crazy with how fast we're telling her she has to run her reps. But I don't know what else to do. You gotta, you really have to try to find creative ways to challenge a kid like her. And she takes it on, and she's very self-motivated. She'll run all summer. She'll run on the weekends. She'll get in the weight room in the winter. So she takes it very serious. And she's a lot of fun to coach.
I thought her run in the 800 meter was, first of all, it was fun to watch, but it was just impressive, her ability to go stride for stride with Bryn Hansen, who was making a comeback in her senior season, and she just pushed and willed her way to the line. I thought that was one of her more impressive races.
Oh, for sure. That was the one I was while I was watching, I got very nervous. I mean, the 2 miles, she kind of ran away with it. The mile, the 4x8, she kind of had a decent lead. So that 800 with 200 to go, Bryn came up on her hip, and we were actually watching the pole vault at the time. I'm like, uh-oh. And I think Claire's best decision in that race was to throw in a little surge with 200 to go and kind of keep Bryn out in lane 2 and keep her on her hip. Because at one point I was watching, I think it was the WDAY footage. It looked like Bryn had a step on her with maybe like 80 meters to go. Yep. Claire just had a little bit of strength in her left at the end of the weekend, and 2:13 is blazing fast, especially for just an 8th grader. So we're very proud of her.
Obviously, it's great to have your superstars, but if you want to win team titles, you have to have others that put up some points. And there's a couple other young stars on your team as well. Caroline Anderson and Kayla Mock were also middle schoolers. What are you guys putting in the water over there? These middle school runners are just so fun to watch.
Yeah, you're right. We couldn't have done it with just Claire, and we couldn't have done it without Claire. We needed all the pieces. And I have to give a lot of credit to the cross country program and those girls really work hard in the fall and put on a lot of miles in the fall, well, in the summer training for cross country, and then in the fall in their cross country sport. And that really carries over to track, because all 3 of those girls are very good in cross country too. Caroline and Kayla both ran really tough. I actually think Kayla improved from cross to track. I think she's going to have a really good 8th grade season in cross country, Kayla Mock. So I don't know what's in the water, but I do give a lot of credit to the cross country coaches and the cross country team. I think those 3 hopefully can, I know they're going to put in a good summer. So I'm sure the success is going to carry over.
You mentioned there was some events you guys left some points out there. Were there events where you may have over-succeeded this last weekend that caught your eye?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if you just look at like seed times and rankings, like Kayla Mock wasn't supposed to score a point in the 2 mile or the mile. So we looked at that as bonus points. We kind of thought she had it in her, but we were happy to see her actually go and do it. Our 4x1 girls were ranked 18th, and they pulled out 8th, and they were just so tough in the rain and that prelim day on that Friday. Our pole vaulter, Mackenzie Potasic, outdid herself and got 6th. Our 4x4 girls were really impressive. So we definitely got some points from some other areas and got a lot of help that way. And we had some good, fun surprises and sneaky little personal records that maybe we weren't expecting, and a lot of contributions through the 19 events.
What was that bus ride home like?
Yeah, a little quiet at first, and then we got about halfway home, and it got pretty crazy and wild. And then as we got closer to town, all the fire trucks and ambulances and everything kind of escorted us in. And then it was really, it was a party, and loud music and sirens and horns, and the community really showed up for us. And so that was a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. Congratulations once again on a phenomenal effort over this last weekend. Really look forward to watching you and what your team can do in years to come. And I appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for the coverage. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Spencer Ruebke from Hillsboro Central Valley joining us on this Monday morning after the Burros take home another Class B girls state title with 74 points over the weekend. Let's take another break. When we come back, we are going to turn our attention from what happened last week to what's going to happen this upcoming weekend. Class A, Class B, girls softball, Class A and Class B baseball. We'll get you a full preview of what's to come. And we'll start with our old friend Scott Kost joining us from Central Cass on the other side of the break. Coming up this weekend, we kick off the North Dakota State softball and baseball tournaments happening all over the state. Jamestown and Minot. We'll have crews in Bismarck as well for softball and crews in Grand Forks for state tennis. A lot going on. We'll give you a full update on that in just a little bit. This is becoming a yearly tradition on Memorial Day, and that is having our good friend Scott Kost from Central Cass join us to talk about his softball team, who are back in the state tournament. No shocker there. They're the number 1 seed in the Class B side of things. Scott, it's great to see you again. I feel like the last time I saw you was 365 days on Memorial Day leading into the state tournament. So how you been since then?
I've been really good, Sam. It's good to see you.
Absolutely. Tell us about this year. Region 1 championships, outscoring opponents 36-0 over the 3 games over this last weekend. 1 seed again. What are your overall thoughts on this last season?
You know, we've had a really good year. We did play a tough schedule. You know, one of the things that we like to do is we like to iron sharpens iron, right? So we like to play a tough schedule, and we've got a lot of Class A teams that are willing to play us, and so we took our lumps in a few games. We got beat up a little bit. We got some things that we needed to work on exposed, and so but by the time we got to the end of the year here, we feel like we're playing really good right now. I think the kids have responded really well. You want to peak at the end of the year, right?
Right.
And that's, I feel like that's what we're headed to do here.
Well, take us through those 3 games in the region tournament. What was working so well for you guys to, one, not allow a run and to put up as many runs as you guys did?
One of the things we always talk about, Sam, is we just talk about, you got to win the battle of freebies. And in the postseason, it kind of starts with your pitching and your defense and just making sure that you're not putting base runners on when you don't need to, that you're making the plays that you need to make. And so that's where it all started. That's how we got the 3 shutout wins, is we pitched really, really well.
Yeah.
We played good defense when the ball was put into play, and then we hit the ball around a little bit. I thought we had better at bats here in the last week than we've had all season long, where the kids were much more aggressive. They were picking out a pitch that they wanted to drive, and so our bats were really good as well.
We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years now. There's been so much success at Central Cass for so long. In every team, it's a new team every single year, whether seniors go or returners come back with some more experience. And every team has a new identity. How would you describe the identity of this year's team?
Yeah, this group of girls, we have seniors this year, so we didn't graduate any seniors last year. So we do have the same group of girls that came back, but it is different, just like you said, Sam. They, every year I look at it and it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. And how are you going to defend well? How are you going to have a lineup that's going to produce? And this group of kids, they just work hard. I mean, that's the one thing. If there's one kind of thing I'm going to always remember about this group, is they just are willing to work hard. We've had extra practices. We have long practices. When we do practice, we practiced in really bad weather. And they just keep coming back and they keep working at it. And so that's what I really appreciate about this team. And they're hungry. I mean, despite being the defending state champion, we started over at the beginning of the year. It didn't matter what we did last year. And they've stayed hungry all the way through the year here.
The tradition of your program is prominent, there's no doubt, with 7 total titles and, as you mentioned, defending state champions. Is there pressure with that at all? How do you guys handle that?
I think there is pressure, yes. I think the bar is high, and that can be hard for high school kids.
Yeah.
What we try to talk about, though, is the way that we handle it is we're going to take it one game at a time. That's an old cliche, but it's really true. You can't win a state championship in March, and you can't win a state championship in April. You just got to do the things that you need to do and kind of buy into the system and buy into the process that we're trying to instill. And hopefully what comes out at the end is that we're performing really well at the end of the year. We're competing really well at the end of the year. And right now that's what we're trying to do. These last few days of the season, we're going to just try to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do, that we know we need to do in order to be successful.
So we will have coverage of this state tournament on the networks of WDAY for those that are going to be watching Class B softball this weekend. Who on your team should fans be on the lookout for that's really having great seasons?
Yeah, well, it'll start with our pitcher, Whitney Mitchell, has had a phenomenal season. She is the epitome of a hard worker, somebody that's going to work hard and do the things that she needs to do in order to be successful. We've got 3 more seniors that are going to be playing their last games here: Brady Bussey, Aspen Preen, and Kira Gunnifson. That will be expectations are that they'll play really good defense, but they're also going to produce at the plate. Sophie Sherwhite anchors our infield at shortstop. She's just been a phenomenal player here. She's only a junior, so we get to have her back for another year. So those are some of the kids that I would look for.
Again, Scott Kost joining us, the head coach of Central Cass softball, ahead of the Class B state softball tournament in Jamestown this weekend. You can catch all of the action on the networks of WDAY. If I remember right, you told me last year that you're not a huge fan of having the team stay in hotels. Is that going to change this weekend? Do you get the schedule all squared away for what's coming up this week?
Yeah, we got the schedule all squared away, and we are not staying in a hotel.
So we'll drive back.
Yeah, so we'll be driving back and forth like we normally do. I just think it's better. And it's worked. It's worked in the past. Yep. It takes us, 70, 80 minutes to get to Jamestown from here. And, our parents are amazing. So they do things before we get on the bus to head to Jamestown. They feed the kids and encourage the kids, and it just works. So no hotels for us this weekend.
70, 80 minutes. That's nothing for you guys. You guys have had some road trips this year, haven't you?
Yep. Nope, that's nothing. That's a good time to lock in and get focused and make sure that we're ready to do the things that we need.
You mentioned having a really tough schedule this season, and that obviously means having some of the best from Class A on the schedule and iron sharpening iron. What were those first couple of games like against Class A opponents this season for your team? Did it feel like they had to settle in a little bit, or did they perform above expectation there? I think we lost them. The powers of the internet. We lost Scott to a frozen screen. Oh. We'll see if he comes back on here in the next couple of minutes. If not, that's all right. Guys, if we got that graphic that you popped up before the segment, I'll keep an eye on Scott and see if our Wi-Fi kicks back in here. You can throw that up, and we'll get into our coverage here again. We will have the quarterfinals on Thursday, the semifinals on Friday, the championship on Saturday, which will be on WDAY Extra. Scott, are you back with us? I think we lost you to internet connection issues.
Yep, I'm back.
Awesome. Well, there we go. Scott Kost joining us once again, Central Cass softball head coach. As I was asking, just having Class A opponents on your schedule, do they exceed expectations against some really good competition there?
Yeah, we played a couple of really good games. We happened to sneak one out against Dickinson, who will end up being the number 1 seed in Class A. Williston. They got a great lineup. They beat us up a little bit. We faced a really good pitcher in Fargo Davies. We had a couple of really good contests against Fargo North. And so, yeah, I feel like those, like I said earlier, iron sharpens iron. And I really do feel like those games help prepare us for some of the things that we need to do this weekend.
Have you had an opportunity to look at the teams that are in this Class B softball field? What stands out to you when you look at your competition this weekend?
Yeah, I think there's some really good teams. I've gotten a chance to watch Delax, Velva, Beulah. I've been able to watch them all in person play. We faced Thompson a couple of times already this year, so they've got a very nice team. They're always well prepared. Kindred obviously is our arch rival. We see them. We see them a couple times a year. So I think it is a very good field. I'm expecting some great competition, some great games here.
Absolutely. Well, we are all looking forward to watching some Squirrels softball coming up this weekend. I know you're a busy guy, so I'll let you get back to it. Scott Kost joining us on this Monday morning.
I appreciate you, Sam. Thanks for the coverage. And I appreciate WDAY covering as well. You guys always do a great job.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we look forward to it every single year now, being able to do this. So, Scott, I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, man.
You as well.
Scott Kost from Central Cass here on this Memorial Day edition of Hot Mic. Almost got through it smoothly. Like internet every time. But it worked out great. It was great to catch up with him. You saw the bracket. Guys, let's flash that up here real quick one more time so I can get a good look at it. Central Cass is the 1 seed. They will take on Pembina County North in the quarterfinal round. That is at 4 o'clock. Our coverage starts and all the action starts at 11 in the morning in the quarters with Velva Drake Animus, the 2 seed, against Glenburn, who is unseeded in this Class B state softball tournament. So that'll start at 11. And then from there, 35 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1, it'll be Delax Burlington, who was in the championship last year. They're the 3 seed this year. They will take on Kindred. And then we'll have a break in the evening session. We'll get started at 4 o'clock, as I mentioned, with Central Cass and Pembina County North. And then we will wrap up that quarterfinal Thursday in the 4-5 matchup with Beulah and Thompson, 35 minutes after the conclusion of Central Cass and Pembina County. So for coverage purposes, if you want to watch this Class B softball tournament, the quarters and the semis are on WDAY Plus, which is an app that you can get right on your mobile phone. You can also find these games on inform.com on a live stream as well. And then those semifinal games are at 4 o'clock on Friday and then 35 minutes after the conclusion of the first semifinal game. And then the championship is on Saturday, and you can find that on WDAY Extra. We are also going to have all the consolation semifinals, the 5th place and the 7th place game all weekend long. Those will be streaming exclusively on WDAY+. And as I mentioned earlier, we have Class B softball, Class A softball, Class B baseball, and Class A baseball, as well as North Dakota girls soccer and North Dakota tennis happening in Grand Forks. So your central hub, if you want to stay plugged in on everything and have quick access to pop around in an app, WDAY Plus and Inform.com is the place for that. But you can also catch a lot of these tournaments on WDAY Extra and WDAY2. I'll give you the full bracket outlook and the full TV rundown coming up later in the show in hour number 2. But we are due for a break. We're going to keep our attention on softball to start the 10 o'clock hour, but we're going to move to Class A because West Fargo Horace is doing some pretty impressive things. We're going to have their head coach, Jen Smart, join us in just a couple of minutes here on Hot Mic.
Butler Machinery and Minnesota pork producers welcome you to Breakfast on the Farm, Saturday, May 30th at Kaysen Farm, 7 a.m. to noon. Kaysen Farms is located 3¼ miles south of Holly on County 31. Come for a farm country breakfast prepared by the Holly Lions for a free will donation. Listen to the music of Tim Egebrot. See the Farm Animal Zoo and Kids Pedal Tractor Pull. Register for a chance to win a processed hog and beef bucks courtesy of Clay County Farm Bureau. Minnesota pork and Minnesota beef. Visit with Minnesota's Dairy Princess and more. Sponsored by Ag Country Farm Credit Services, Town and Country Heating and AC, Peterson Farm Seed.
When you see them running wild and free in the Badlands, you can feel the freedom, but it didn't come without a fight. This is the epic and true story of survival, of independence, and a fight to remain wild, free, untamed. Discover why their story still matters to all of us. Order your copy today.
Want to discover Cindy Crawford's secret to ageless skin?
It's Meaningful Beauty, created by world-renowned cosmetic specialist Dr. Jean-Louis Savard. He's been hailed as an anti-aging guru and a skin magician who's been honored with Elle Magazine's Genius Award.
His incredible treatments harness the power of a genetically unique melon found only in the south of France. It contains an astonishing youth-preserving enzyme known as the youth molecule.
These super treatments have kept Cindy's skin looking remarkably youthful. Just wait until you see what what they can do for you.
Instant hydration, instant plumping. My skin looks amazing.
And now for 2026 and beyond, enhance your skincare with Cindy's new Calming and Cooling Duo. An incredible value at $104. Today, it's free. That's right, free. You're invited to join the party and find out what these new formulas can do for you.
I can sum it up in one word: hydration.
Glowy, smooth, magical.
I've often heard this: are you drinking from the fountain of youth? And I say no, but I'm putting it on.
What I'm most proud of is over 5 million women have trusted Meaningful Beauty, and they're getting great results, and I get that feedback from them in airports, supermarkets, walking down the street, and I love it.
Now it's your turn to try our best system ever with 5 concentrated super treatments, including the Age Recovery Night Cream infused with melon extract and retinol.
And the new and improved Advanced Youth Activating Melon Serum with Hydrosome H2O delivers our melon leaf stem cell technology even deeper into the skin where wrinkles begin.
When purchased separately, Meaningful Beauty's regular price of $179 is already an incredible bargain.
But because Cindy decided to offer Meaningful Beauty directly to you, you won't pay $179, $139, or even $99. Order now and you'll pay just $69.95 for all 5 concentrated super treatments. Be among the first 500 to order and receive the amazing Youth Activating Eye Serum with its cooling metal applicator that reduces the appearance of puffiness, visibly firms, and smooths the look of fine lines. A true wake-up call for tired eyes. And the hydrating and soothing facial mist with niacinamide. This gentle mist provides cooling hydration for visibly brighter skin and can be used with or without makeup.
Cool eyes plus calm skin equals instant results.
Now, smart shoppers who use promo code SAVE20 will receive an additional $20 savings instantly. That means you'll pay just $49.95, a full 75% off the regular price. We'll even add free shipping. And your order always comes with our 60-day money-back guarantee.
Scan the code, call the number below, or go to meaningfulbeauty.com right now.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Back for hour number 2 on this Monday morning. Big thank you to Spencer Ruebke from Hillsboro Central Valley and Scott Kost from Central Cass for joining us to start off today. Let's continue our conversation on North Dakota high school softball, but turn our attention over to Class A because their state tournament's coming up at Minot later on this weekend, starting on Thursday with quarterfinal action. There is a team in there that has a really cool story, and that is the Hawks from West Fargo Horace, and we're happy to be joined by their head coach, Jen Smart. Jen, this has been quite the whirlwind of a season. Just not too long ago, this West Fargo Horace team wasn't even in the region tournament. It made a state qualifier last year, and now you guys are East Region champions. How would you describe this season for you and your team?
I just got goosebumps, Sam, when you said that. But it's been a lot of fun. These girls have bought into the process. You know, our lineup has looked a little bit different throughout the season, and each time we've asked a kid to maybe try something different, they've been willing to do it, whatever the team needs in that moment, and they deliver. So it's just really been a lot of fun.
Tell us about this East Region tournament and what went into that to coming away with the championship at the end, and especially that last game, which looked like it was an exciting one against West Fargo.
It was, yeah, it was. It was the last 2 weeks of our season, I think, which, I mean, every year with spring sports, it kind of turns into the wild, wild west. We had the last week of regular season games. We played Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then our JV team played 4 games on that Saturday. So it was a lot of softball in 6 days. But the girls, we took it one at a time, right? One game at a time. You can't win the 4th game that you have in front of you before you win this first one. And that was kind of the approach that we took into the tournament on starting on Tuesday last week, one at a time again. And then Friday ended up being some crappy weather. We didn't get to play Friday night and ended up having to play 2 games on Saturday, which a lot of people had reached out and said, how do you feel about playing 2 games on Saturday? And I said, well, I mean, there's times where we play 2 games in a day during the week anyway. So, I mean, it's no different to us. The girls took it in stride too. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
There's an article up on inform.com right now recapping that game, and what I thought was super cool was after the final out in the article, it described the emotion on your players after winning the championship and knowing that they're going to the state tournament. What can you say about what it was like afterwards, celebrating that championship and the bus ride home?
The bus ride home was awesome. It felt like a concert. The girls had a speaker going. They had their phones out with the flashlights. They were singing away. It was just, everybody played loose. Everybody had fun. And when these girls, when they play loose, that's when they play well. And when they put too much pressure on themselves, I think sometimes things go awry. And that was kind of the message all week too, was just stay loose, right? Have fun. Remember why you started playing this game in the first place. Yeah.
Did you guys know prior to the season that this year could be, quite a special year for you guys?
I think the coaching staff did. I think the girls probably did too. We definitely had all the pieces. Whether or not everybody comes to play at the same time is kind of a crapshoot, but we did. I think we've won 12 of our last 13, I think. And so it's, they're just doing what they know how to do. So
West Fargo Horace is the 1 seed from the East in the Class A softball tournament coming up in Minot this weekend. Have the late game against Bismarck Legacy, the 4 seed from the West. Head coach Jen Smart joining us on this Monday morning. How much is the conversation now? Okay, it's great. We had a phenomenal regular season. We had a great region tournament. But now we're not done. We want to go out and win more. How much is that the conversation leading into this weekend?
Yeah, that'll be some of it. A lot of it will be still just play our game, right? We don't change anything just because we go and we play some teams from the West, right? We know that the West is strong, but I think that we have a great shot to come in and maybe shake some things up out there. So we continue to play our game of softball, have good approaches at the plate, play phenomenal defense, which we have done most of the year. I think we struggled a little bit at the beginning, but that's okay, right? You practice in a gym for 3 weeks and then you're expected to go outside and do everything perfectly on a softball field, and that's just not realistic. So we do what we can and we get better. That's another message that we've had all year too, is just get better every time we step out on the field, and I think we did that too. Yeah.
For those that are going to be in attendance and watching this tournament or even watching on TV, who should they keep an eye out for? Who's been having great seasons for Horace?
We've had a lot. The top of our order with Kat Flanagan, Braylon Brown, Tristan Strook. It's a lot of speed. We can manufacture a lot of runs that way, which is great. We've talked about that too before, is sometimes in the game of softball, you go into some slumps sometimes, and sometimes you have to manufacture some runs. And with us having some phenomenal speed at the top of the order there, it helps us do that. Who else? Josie Carrier, obviously, she's been a big piece for us in the circle this year. Leah Holton, I can pull her. She can be in our starting lineup. She could be on the bench. I can pull her in. She can get me a hit when I need it. We talk about being, it's a team effort, 1 through 16, right? Just because you're not in the starting lineup doesn't mean that you're not going to get in, doesn't mean that you don't have a role. And I think the girls have really bought into that this year, and that makes our job as a coaching staff just that much easier.
I feel like almost every athletic program at West Fargo Horace has had a similar story where obviously it's a fairly new school in the state of North Dakota, but the first couple of years maybe were a little rough, and then there was some success, and then before you know it, one of the top teams in the state, and now this year it just so happens to be softball's turn. What can you say about just the growth of West Fargo Horace and the athletic department as a whole to see this much success all across the board for the athletes over there?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think when you think about it, when kids play varsity sports for 4 years, it's bound to start clicking at some point, right? When we started this program 4 years ago, we had 6 freshmen and everybody else was in middle school.
Yeah.
And we still managed to make the conference tournament that year. So that was wild. Fast forward to now, we have 3 of those seniors have stuck it out, which I think is a pretty good percentage. And then, the middle schoolers who have been playing varsity softball basically since they started, it's fun to watch. It's fun to be a part of. Right. And all of the other coaching staff, they're out at Horace, are super supportive. Hey, whatever you need, let me know. So that's been super cool too, as a first-time head coach for me. Yeah.
What were those early days like at the beginning of this softball program? Were there challenges that you weren't expecting that popped up?
There were. I don't think that you realize how much upperclassmen leadership really makes a difference on a program until you don't have that. But these girls have grown into that role. And I think to grow into that role without having somebody to look up to too and see how they do it and model it, I think is just another great attest to the kids that we have in our program and how they were able to make that growth on their own without having somebody to model.
The baseball team is very good at Horace as well. They're a top seed in the state tournament. Do you guys feed off of each other at all with how much success you both have been having on the diamond?
I think probably there's a little bit of back and forth with the kids. I mean, Coach Irie and I have a great relationship, I think. We do what we can to work together. Our fields are right beside each other, so we see each other on a daily basis too. And obviously we root for each other. So
going into the state tournament for the first time, I've talked to a lot of coaches leading into a state tournament, and I've heard the stories of trying to piece together a schedule and getting all the logistics together. What has this been like for you and your staff, just preparing for a trip to Minot and getting ready for a full weekend of softball?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more than I anticipated. I have one of my assistant coaches is working on our itinerary right now. I actually just got off the phone with her right before I jumped on here. She was working on, okay, if we do this, we do this. We win this game, we do this. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to have a plan for alternatives, right? Oh yeah, we'll have that too. And so that's kind of been on my to-do list within the last, 24 to 48 hours of being home. It's a lot to organize 16 girls and 5 coaches and everybody else in a different city in the state. And all still while trying to keep that routine of what we're used to and how we know that we're successful.
Have you had an opportunity to look at the rest of the tournament field that you guys will be competing against? What can you say about the competition coming up this weekend?
Yeah, I've had a little bit. We actually played Williston I think it was our second game of the year in Jamestown in the softball day in North Dakota. So we have some stuff on them. We've played Bismarck Legacy in years prior. We played Mandan actually in Midseason Madness. And then Dickinson, that's a program that we've never encountered in our 4 years, but let's hope that this is the year where we're meeting in the championship final. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome. I know you're busy. I'll let you get back to work and getting things squared away for this weekend, but I appreciate you taking time this morning to talk about the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Sam.
Absolutely. Jen Smart, the head coach of West Fargo Horace Softball, joining us on this Monday morning. They have the late game on Thursday, again being the 1 seed from the East. They will play the 4 seed from the West. The action will start at 11 o'clock in the quarterfinal round against Dickinson, or between Dickinson and Fargo Davies, and then go down from there. We'll give you a look at the brackets and the TV coverage once again in just a little bit. But tip of the cap to everything West Fargo Horace has done as a school and as an athletic department over the last 4 years. Like I mentioned with Jen, it seems like every single team has had the same arc of, okay, we're a new school. Let's start out a program. In some cases, their opening year wasn't a varsity team. It was a JV program. Maybe didn't win a game for a little bit. Maybe won very few games. And then from there, it has just ballooned into prominence in the state of North Dakota. In some cases, the middle classes and now the big classes, or in other cases, big Class A the entire way. It has been really impressive. Baseball has soared to great heights, and now they have players going off to play Division I baseball. Basketball, we saw over the winter, they had not what they wanted to have at the state tournament, losing the opening round, but they were the heavy favorite throughout the season. We've seen the football team go from the bottom of the barrel to the top holding the trophy over the last couple of years. Girls basketball going on and winning state tournaments as well. The list goes on. The list goes on. And it has been really impressive, and looking forward to seeing what Horace can do after not making the region tournament 2 years ago, falling in the state qualifier last year, and now winning the region championship. And they are the 1 seed, and they have an opportunity to win it all in Minot this weekend. Only time will tell what's going to happen in that tournament. Again, we'll give you a full look at the bracket in just a little bit. Let's take another break. Want to remind you, coming up at the bottom of the hour, 10:30, we're talking Class A baseball with Fargo South's head coach, Nathan Sillerud. That's coming up in a couple of minutes. Hot Mic returns after this.
Every veteran has a story, a legacy of courage, sacrifice, and unwavering service to our nation. At Bolger Funeral Home, we honor that legacy with care and respect. Our veteran service packages are a heartfelt tribute, ensuring every hero receives the recognition they've earned. From military honors to personalized services, we support families in celebrating a life of service. Bolger Funeral Home, honoring legacies, supporting families.
Stay prepared for the days and nights ahead with the best weather team. Download the Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Get alerts and updates straight from the WDAY Storm Tracker team with accurate weather reports specific to your area. Just search WDAY in the Apple or Google Play Store. Download the Storm Tracker app and be ready to plan your day. The Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Download it today.
Jeff Mancini here with an incredible offer from Mighty Bite. We're celebrating 15 years and the most lure patents in history. Mighty Bite looks, smells, sounds, feels, tastes, and swims like a wounded baitfish. With millions of pieces sold and fish being caught around the world, Mighty Bite's interchangeable adaptive features transforms the lure, creating irresistible erratic wounded action that ignites the predatory instinct to make fish strike. Only Mighty Bite has real-life fin action that fish can't resist. Increase performance with our replaceable weights, sound rattles, and super scent stick attractant. It's better, lasts longer, and never washes off like all those other lures.
Mighty Bite!
Order now and get 4 free gifts, including the incredible UFO Glow Kit.
Great for ice fishing, just like it is for open water.
This is the Mighty Bite, catching crappie in Florida.
Take it. Yeah, right off the bottom. Mighty Bite again. Oh, wait a minute, I got one. Nice!
Now tell me he doesn't want it. Look at that.
Yeah, baby.
Look at that. Mighty Bite again.
Whether you're after big fish or small, Mighty Bite catches them all. So make this the best fishing season of your life, because only Mighty Bite looks, smells, sounds, feels, tastes, and swims like a wounded baitfish. So it just works better in almost every fishing situation and for every type of fish. Catch more and bigger fish with Mighty Bite. Guaranteed more bites or your money back. Order now and get 4 free gifts, including the incredible UFO Glow Kit to get the bite at night. Call or click today.
Call 800-698-2905. That's 800-698-2905. Or visit buymightybite.com and make this the best fishing season of your life.
I slept in a lot of different rooms, different beds, but none of them really felt like mine. I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. And I never had much stuff because I always had to be ready to move. Why get things if you just have to let them go?
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
Now I have my own room with walls that tell my story. I love hanging out in here. I play dress up with my sisters and I sing and make videos. But the best part? Knowing I'll always have a place to go and a family that loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
Oh, it's a gorgeous day today. Thanks for joining us on this Memorial Day edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, Inform.com, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, and KNBN in Rapid City. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. Dom will be back tomorrow. He will be in studio on Wednesday. If I'm not mistaken, the show will be live on location on Thursday in Jamestown. He is calling the Class B boys baseball tournament. I am calling the Class A baseball tournament. And then we will have Riley Swenson at Class B softball and Isaac Dienison at Class A softball in Minot. A lot going on this weekend. That's just a little taste. I want to say thanks again to Jen Smart from Horace, head coach of the softball program over there, for joining us on this Monday morning. So to give you a full recap of everything going on, baseball, softball happening this weekend, also girls soccer state tournament and the tennis state competition in Grand Forks as well. To give you a look at what the brackets are going to be like this week, let's throw them up on the screen. Fella, I forgot to tell you, whatever order you throw them up in, go ahead. This is the Class A Girls Softball Championship bracket. As we mentioned, we heard from Horace just a little bit ago. They are the 1 seed in the East. They will take on Bismarck Legacy, the 4 seed from the West. They are the last game of the day on Thursday. Things will open with Dickinson against Davies. That's the 1-4 matchup between the West and the East, starting at 11 o'clock in Minot. After that, 35 minutes after the conclusion of the first game, it'll be West Fargo against Mandan. The Packers are the 2 seed from the East. Mandan is the 3 seed from the West. We will have a slight break, potentially, depending on the timing. And then the evening session, we will start with the 4 o'clock time, and the 2 seed from the West, Williston, against the 3 seed from the East, Shanley. 35 minutes after that, you got Horace and Legacy. You get the gist. 35 minutes in between games. And then your semifinals, and then your finals. This is the Class B softball bracket. We'll start with Velva Drake Animus against Glenburn at 11. Delax Burlington against Kindred, 35 minutes after that. Central Cass and Pembina County North at 4 o'clock. Central Cass is the 1 seed in this tournament. And then in the 4-5 matchup, it's Beulah and Thompson, 35 minutes after the Central Cass Pembina County North game to wrap up quarterfinal Thursday. In Class A baseball, this one is going to be intriguing. We're going to learn more about this in just a couple of minutes with Nathan Sillerud from Fargo South. West Fargo and Bismarck will start the quarterfinal round at 11:30 on Thursday, so different than softball. 11:30 on Thursday. The Packers had a great East Region tournament in a loaded East Region. They are highly seeded as one of the top teams in the state of North Dakota now. They will take on Bismarck, and then after that, it's Mandan and Fargo South, two very scary teams there. Horace has been on an absolute tear this season. They will take on Minot North in the first round, and then it'll be Minot, the West Region champs, against West Fargo Cheyenne in our final game of the quarterfinals. And then we go to Class B baseball. Park River, Shiloh Christian, 11:30 on Thursday to start the quarters. And then Thompson, who stuck their way back in there, one of the top teams in Class B baseball history in the state of North Dakota. They will take on Botno in the opening round. The evening session starting at 4:30 between Kindred and Des Lacs Burlington, and then quarters will wrap up with Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion, and Velva, Drake, Animus. Also on the soccer side, in Bismarck, these games will be played. It's the 1 seed from the West Mandan against the 4 seed from the East Fargo Davies at 12 o'clock. At 2:15, projected Grand Forks Red River against Minot North. That's a 2-3 matchup there. Then at 4:30, it is Shanley, the 1 seed from the East, against Jamestown, the 4 seed from the West, and Minot and West Fargo Cheyenne after that. Expected around 6:45. The 2 seed from the West and the 3 seed from the East, Minot and West Fargo Cheyenne. And then, of course, we have the tennis competition up in Grand Forks coming up on Saturday. So if you're wondering, I want to watch these, where can I do that? We got you covered. They'll be all over the networks of WDAY. Class A baseball. Quarterfinal games are going to be on WDAY2. The semifinal games are going to be on WDAY Extra, and the championship is going to be on WDAY Extra. This is Class A baseball, if I didn't mention that correctly. All the consolation games are going to be streamed as well. You can find all of those on WDAY Plus and Inform.com. So, 4:30 is the start time for the semis, and then Class A championship is at 2. Class B championship is at 7 on WDAY Extra. That's for Class B as well. For Class B baseball, all of those games are on WDAY Extra. The quarters, the semis, and the championship. You can catch the full meal deal on WDAY Extra. For softball, Class A, the quarters and the semis are on WDAY Plus, and the championship will be on WDAY Extra. You see it there. The championship game is on Saturday on Extra at 12 o'clock. For Class B softball, the quarters and the semifinal round, those are going to be streaming on WDAY Plus, and the finals are on WDAY Extra at 4:30. Championship Saturday is going to be loaded on WDAY Extra. On Saturday, for soccer, first 2 rounds are going to be on WDAY Plus, and the championship for that will be on WDAY2, and that championship game is at 12 o'clock on Saturday. For tennis, if you're interested about that, we will have streaming for that on Saturday alone on WDAY Plus and Inform.com starting at 10 o'clock. I know that sounds like a lot right now. Dom's going to run through the meal deal as the week goes on, but if you're looking for a central home on where to find everything, an easy place for that is WDAY Plus and Inform.com. You get your subscription, and you can bounce around from there if you don't have access to WDAY Extra or WDAY2. Check your local listings on what those channels are on. People ask me all the time. I probably should know at this point. It's been 4 years. I just had my work anniversary last week. It's been 4 years since I've worked here, and I don't know exactly what channel every provider has WDAY Extra and WDAY2. So check your local listings. That's where we stand on that. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, we are going to talk Class A baseball with Nathan Sillerud, the Fargo South head coach. They are a very sneaky team in this year's tournament. We'll get the lowdown of the Bruins when we come back. Last half hour of the show on this Monday morning. Again, thanks for joining us here on Hot Mic. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. We've talked about Class B softball. We've talked about Class A softball. Let's turn our attention now to Class A baseball. And I want to get the preview on a team that I think is a scary contender in this weekend's Class A baseball tournament, and that is Fargo South. And to give us the lowdown on the Bruins, it's their head coach, Nathan Sillerud. Coach, thanks for spending some time on a holiday. I know it's a really busy week, but it's great to see you again.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
As I said, you guys are a scary, scary good team, and how you are the 3 seed from the East is surprising to me, just looking at your record and following along from the season. How would you describe this year for your guys' team?
I was just kind of comparing some stats from last season to this season, and I think the big difference maker is how well we swing the bat. Mm-hmm. Like we had 6 home runs as a team last year, and 2 of those came in the state tournament last year. And through EDC this year, we're hitting 21 home runs and tons of extra base hits. So I'm comfortable with our guys 1 through 9 of like just battling at the plate and putting the ball in play, and good things will happen.
21 home runs is a wild number, is it not?
Yeah. Nelson's got 8 of those 21, so.
That's pretty good. We'll touch on Caden Nelson's stud at Fargo South in just a second. I want to go back to the East Region tournament. You and I were talking off air that it was like deja vu from last year. Got through the opening round, and then West Fargo played a great East Region tournament, fell to them by 1 run, and then beat Red River in the qualifier. Did that leave a bitter taste in your team's mouth after last weekend, and did that build some motivation for this upcoming week?
Yeah, definitely some motivation. Playing that tough game against West Fargo, it was kind of disappointing, but we knew that we played really well that game. We had 15 hits, so it was just carrying momentum into the next day, and just taking care of business against Red River again. And that's the deja vu part. We walked it off against them last year to go to state, and then we beat them this year to go to state. And actually last year, first round, we played Mandan, and this year, first round, we played Mandan again. So
right back to it.
Yeah.
Tell us about that state qualifier game against Red River. What was the feeling amongst the team as they were trying to punch their ticket to state?
Well, my message to them after the loss against West Fargo was just being positive. We had 15 hits that game, so it's not like we put ourselves in a hole or we did anything really wrong. But it was just carrying momentum into the next day, and so we had 15 hits against West Fargo, so we just needed to keep doing what we're doing. And then, of course, having Caden Nelson on the mound against Red River obviously helps with 16 strikeouts, and just not allowing them to really score much, and we just kept swinging the bat well and putting balls in play.
All right, you mentioned him. I want to talk about him, the Texas A&M commit, Caden Nelson. We're seeing some video of what he's done this season. I followed along throughout the year, and occasionally I'll see a box score, and I'll see Caden Nelson's stat line, and I just shake my head and smile because a lot of games it's unbelievable. What can you say about your stud over there at South?
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't hit for the cycle yet this year, but I'm just thinking of one of his most recent home runs where he just like extends with one hand and just kind of reaches for it and just somehow pokes it out for a home run. But at the plate, he is just a tough out. I think he's only struck out twice on the year. He's batting 500, 8 home runs, like 43 hits or something, like just ridiculous. It's just whenever he gets to the plate, it's just like, something's good is about to happen here.
Is he a better pitcher or a better hitter in your mind?
That's a tough debate. His pitching is pretty legit because he's got a handful of pitches for strikes and he keeps it around the zones. Obviously his velocity is good, but his bat speed at the plate too is unbelievable. The way he gets his hands through the zone so quick, and that's just the ability to put almost any ball in play.
I think the fact he had 16 strikeouts in the state qualifier game says all you need to know about his ability on the mound. Was there a point with Caden that at some point, while he was coming up through the system, that you guys realized we might have something special on our hands here?
Yeah, when we got him as a freshman. Like, he was probably 40 pounds lighter than he is now, and still was a tall kid, maybe through about mid 70s or so. We knew that, this kid's got some potential, but then he really took the time himself to develop himself as a player. And then we started to see that progression as a sophomore, and then even more this year, just how much work he's done in the weight room and just everything else that he's done is really shown.
What was his reaction and your reaction as these big schools were starting to get some recruiting attention going his way? And, of course, now he's committed to Texas A&M.
I was so happy for him because I knew that I'd kind of been asking him over the winter, like, hey, what schools you been talking to and whatnot. And he'd named a few, and he said Texas A&M, and I'm like, well, that's the real deal, dude. Like, if you can go there, go there. So I was super excited when he told me that he got accepted there, and could be more excited.
I feel like his story is one that's becoming more rare as the years go on. When athletes of a caliber like that, they may decide to leave North Dakota and see what they can do in other states or other parts of the Midwest. But he's here right in the backyard of Fargo South. I think that just shows that you can go on and achieve great things even right here in North Dakota.
Yeah, for sure. That's the great thing about baseball. You don't have to be, the tallest kid on the basketball court to go play in the NBA or whatever. You just got to put in the work and the time and work on your game and see where it can take you.
You guys are coming off of a phenomenal season last year, and there's a lot of returning names that are on the roster this season. Henry Schrum is one of them. What can you say about his play this year?
He's been defensively one of our best. I mean, he's been our everyday starter as a catcher. He started catching varsity for us as an 8th grader. Just was kind of a scrawny kid as an 8th grader, but him too, he's put in the work in the weight room, and you should see him at practice. Like, he will be the first one there, last one out, just wanting to do catcher work over and over and over again. And he just is a student of the game, and he's just so fun to watch. He just back picks guys, throws guys out with ease. He's got great pop time and a good arm strength. So,
well, obviously,
defensively helps.
Obviously, it's great to have 2 stars on your team, but it takes 9 guys on the field at any given moment. Give some flowers out. Who else is really standing out to you this season?
Tate Barnacle for sure at second base. He has been just solid. I don't know if he's made an error all year long. He'll lay his body out for any ball and just make spectacular plays all the time. Hunter Geary in center field. And then Carson Sheik, he's been kind of our utility guy, bouncing around from pretty much every position. Brander Hilmert out in left field. And Colby Eblin at short has also been doing a really awesome job.
All right, we'll be looking forward to those names at the state baseball tournament in Minot coming up this weekend. You can catch all the coverage on the networks of WDAY. Nathan Sillerud, the head coach of Fargo South, joining us here on this Monday morning. Just watching and following along with Class A baseball throughout the season, when you look at the East region, what a gauntlet that is. What can you say about competing in that loaded region that we have here in North Dakota?
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, I was telling people, like, the EDC's pitching this year is probably the toughest it's ever been, or toughest I've ever seen it been, because there's so many names like Seaver from Red River, who's really good. Like Luke Finn from West Fargo. I could just go on and on, but any team in the EDC could really beat any team. So it's really tough. And Horace, they got their dudes too.
Yeah. As you mentioned, you guys are familiar with Mandan, and this is a team that's also bringing in a decent amount of people from last year. I know they got a big arm on their staff as well. Have you had the opportunity to look at Mandan at all leading into that opening game?
I've been doing a little bit of looking online, trying to find some video. I know they got a guy, Jack Took, that's pretty solid. So probably got to plan around him a little bit. But yeah, this week I'm really going to dive into some film and try to get as much as I can on them and just try to prepare ourselves best we can too.
As a coach, what goes into preparing for a state tournament like this, knowing you have 3 high-pressure games in a row? And what goes in your mind when you look at this is how we want to base our pitching staff around, this is what we want our lineup to look at? Is it or just stick with what's been working throughout the regular season, or do things change at all going into this week?
I've been telling our boys that it's just like we're not going to change anything at this point. We're just going to keep playing our brand of baseball. Yeah, we'll maybe do a little bit of pitching, strategizing of who's going to throw what game. But, I think the boys kind of know what we're going to do and who's going to be pitching wins. So probably no surprises from us of what we're going to be doing defensively.
Do you guys feel like, even though you're the 3 seed from the East, you guys are probably a favorite in this tournament field? Is that a feeling on the team?
Yeah, we've been telling our boys all year long that this is a special team. Like, you guys have something that a team at South hasn't been able to do in a long time. But it's just being able to put it all together because we got all the pieces. We just got to continue to play good baseball.
Nathan Sillerud from Fargo South joining us on this Monday morning. I'll let you get back to it. I know you got a drive coming up and practice happening, so enjoy this week, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Nathan Sillerud from Fargo South here on a Monday morning. Class A baseball tournament coming up this weekend starting on Thursday. Fargo South, the 3 seed from the East against Mandan, the 2 seed from the West. That is going to be quite the ball game. I had the opportunity to do Class A baseball last season when it was up in Grand Forks, and as he mentioned, that South Mandan game was in the opening round, and just to see Caden Nelson and to see Jack Took, who he mentioned, Jack Took's a really good pitcher out of Mandan, throwing in low 90s range, maybe even approaching mid-90s at this point, but he is a stud on the bump as well. And I think he said it best. Every single team that is in the tournament field has a guy or 2 or 3 that are just studs. And we're not just talking North Dakota studs. These guys are national studs. West Fargo Horace, Kason Borkhardt's going to Oregon. Caden Nelson's going to Texas A&M. Jack Took has a good opportunity to go high-level Division I, in my opinion. I'm no expert by any means. West Fargo Cheyenne has a couple players going Division I. Hudson Dinger's going to North Dakota State. Minot last year had some really, really good talent, and they worked their way through the West Region Tournament. Minot North, I was talking with some guys on their coaching staff this last weekend in Bismarck at the Track and Field Championships. They've been having a phenomenal year, and their story's kind of similar to Horace softball, a new team that has burst onto the scene and now is playing some really good baseball. They were a favorite out in the West this season to win that tournament. They came up just a little bit short, but have an opportunity to turn it on here. Bismarck is a team I'm really looking forward to learning about as this week goes on. I haven't had a chance to see them as of yet. But if I know anything about Bismarck athletics, they're going to be contenders. There's no doubt. So Bismarck will have that opening game against West Fargo. And as you heard Nathan mention about West Fargo, they got some great arms as well, and they put together a really good East Region tournament to knock off Fargo South and West Fargo Horace, teams that were 1 and 2 in the regular season, to win that East Region championship and be the 1 seed. So that's a little preview of the Class A baseball tournament coming up in Minot on Thursday, with Game 1 starting at 11:30. Couple of minutes left to go in the show. Let's take another break. When we come back, I do want to circle back to some cool things that happened over the weekend, like an update on our guy Tom Hoagie. Also, I'll attempt to chat about some racing, even though that's not my forte. But we'll get into that as this Monday morning edition of Hot Mic wraps up after this. Final couple minutes left to go on this Monday morning. Dom will be back with us tomorrow before we embark as a station across the state of North Dakota to all these state tournaments we've been talking about throughout the morning. Now, in the final couple of minutes here, I want to talk about some things that happened over the weekend. I wanted to put them in Best of the Weekend in that segment we had at the beginning of the show, but just due for time, not able to do so, so I want to talk about them now. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Indy 500 that happened the other day. Now, I'm sure it won't come to a shock to a lot, and I think I've mentioned it on the show. I know nothing when it comes to racing, but I do know that the Indy 500 was a big deal. And if you missed it yesterday, here's some of the highlights. Felix Rosenqvist, never heard that name in my life until the other day, won the Indy 500, and apparently it was the closest final margin of victory in history of 0.02 of a second for old Felix, excuse me. See, I already screwed it up. Felix Rosenqvist. So he was able to get the win there. You saw there was a couple big crashes that were a key part of the race. I had a couple of friends that are big into racing that were actually in attendance at this one. They said it was awesome. It was hot. I know Eric last week was talking about the Wienermobile race. And I'm a fan of that. I can get behind that. That's more my speed. I don't know who won that thing, but I can get behind that. So Felix Rosenqvist was the champion at the Indy 500 over the weekend by 0.02 of a second. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that for all of our racing fans that are watching the show this morning. What I do know about is golf. And it was a pretty big weekend for Tom Hoge at the Byron Nelson down in McKinney, Texas. I was looking through the scorecards over the weekend as that event was going on, and I was just baffled by some of the numbers these guys were putting up. Wyndham Clark won the whole thing at a score of 30 under par, which is just unbelievable to me. I had a 6-hour round on the golf course yesterday in the blazing heat, and I can tell you what, I didn't come close to that number. If anything, I was more 30 over after everything was all said and done. So the fact that these guys and the winning score was 30 under was pretty impressive. Tom Hoge, on the other hand, he finished in the top 10 after this weekend at the Byron Nelson. He finished at a tie for 6th at 20 under par. He fired a ho-hum 68 in the first round, a 62 in the second round, followed that up with a 66 in the third round, and then a 68 yesterday to finish tied for 6th. That helped him pocket $347,000. Which is no chump change by any means. So after his top 10 finish, he is now, and this is important to keep track of as we go throughout the rest of the season in the PGA, he is now number 68 in the FedEx Cup standings with 290 points. And for those unfamiliar with how that works, top 70 in the standings make the quote-unquote playoffs. The FedEx St. Jude Championship, top 70 make that tournament, and that tournament's in August. And then the top 50 make the BMW Championship, and then the top 30 make the Tour Championship and an opportunity to win the whole shebang, if you will. And Tom's top 6 finish moved him up 7 spots in the standing this week, and that is huge moving forward for the rest of the season, which has been kind of an up-and-down year, if you will. He's missed 5 cuts on the season, but let me count them up here. 1, 2, 3 top 10 finishes on the year, including a top 20 finish as well at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. He did have a top 6 finish at the Zurich Classic, which is in New Orleans. And if you want to count that, that is a team event. So he was able to finish T6 in that event. We'll see what he does moving forward, but he's playing some good golf as of right now. There's no doubt. With that being said, just a couple of minutes left to go. Let's get into our what to watch for tonight and get out of the door here on this Monday. Here's what's going on today. The Minnesota Twins, as we mentioned earlier, open up a 4-game stretch against the Chicago White Sox. Game 1 is in just a little bit later this afternoon. 1:10 first pitch. Twins.tv, Zebby Matthews on the bump for the Minnesota Twins. And then we have NHL and NBA playoffs coming up later on tonight, both at 7 o'clock. In hockey, it's Montreal versus Carolina. That series is tied at 1 apiece. You can catch that game on TNT. And then also tonight in the NBA, the New York Knicks have an opportunity to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers on ESPN at 7 o'clock in the Eastern Conference Finals. Winner of that will move on to the finals in the NBA, and they will take on the winner of San Antonio and Oklahoma City. That's got a little ways to go in that. Big thank you to all our great guests today, Spencer Ruebke, Scott Kost, Jen Smart, Nathan Sillerud for joining us on a holiday Monday. Dom is back in the studio tomorrow. I will see you guys on Thursday in Minot for Class A baseball. So until then, have a great rest of your weekend, or week, I should say, and we'll catch you later.